Hello, coaches, and welcome to this edition of Give and Go Live. My name is David Newbury. I'm joined by, as always, by Ian Barker. Hello, Ian.
Hello, coaches, and hello, David. Thank you for having me.
Ian, we are now looking at an activity, the third in a series of 4, looking at movement off the ball with attacking combinations. And this comes from the 2017 convention with the US national team, women's national team staff. And this activity is coached by Jaime Frias. So, Ian, let's have a look at the video and then come back and we'll discuss the activity using quick tactics diagrams.
Now we're going to move over to Jaime. Jaime's our U16 coach. He's going to deal with a small-sided game with more numbers.
Okay. So while they're getting their drink, the progression of this has been the warm-up, just getting their movements down. There wasn't a lot of coaching. They were making a lot of mistakes. And you can see them struggling with the timing a little bit. So we're trying to get the timing down right here. Again, without any pressure, the details of the movement, the details of their passing, their first touch, etc., that will influence in them getting behind the back line and putting themselves in a good position to finish the goal. Now we've got to add some decisions to that. So it's 5v5 plus 2. And now the questions that we're asking of them is, when do you do it? How do you break the line? How do you keep possession of penetrate with pressure? So I focus with the 16s a lot on the decision-making of when and how to do that. So hopefully we can paint a good picture. Even in the setup, if you're a college coach, you can make it a little bit more functional. You can go 6 versus 4. The 4 are your 4 backs, or 3 backs and 1 midi, and they're going to 2 counter goals. And the 6 might be if you're playing a 4-3-3, your 3 midfielders, your 3 forwards, and you're trying to break the line. So if you want to make it more functional. If you're a youth coach, you can use this with smaller numbers. You can go 3v3 plus 2, 4v4 plus 1. It's just, you're going to have to manage that, okay, based on the field size, the spacing that you have. Your 5v5 plus 2 in the middle. Yellows, you're going to attack that goal. Reds, you're going to attack that goal. Greens, you play on both teams. And the purpose of it, you must get 3 passes before you can play someone in to go to goal. Okay, once you play someone in, it's going to be 1v1 versus the goalkeeper. Your job is to make that 1v1 look game-like. That's your job. Then we'll progress to that and start adding defenders. Red's going that way. Yellow's going that way. Neutrals play on the same team. How many passes do you have to get before you can go inside? 3. Okay, soccer rules. Out of bounds are the sidelines you see there. We got it? We're good? You're in a 2-3. You're in a 2-3, so I need 3 attacking players trying to break the line. Ready? And who wants the ball? Boom. And we'll just let them play for a little bit. Next ball with Mark. We'll let them play for a little bit. See what's affecting either their possession or their penetration. So what I'm looking for out of this is what's allowing them to penetrate or what's keeping them from penetrating. It could be their body positioning. It could be the quality of their pass, quality of their movement. So that's what we're looking for. And we hold. So right there, whoa. And play the ball back over here to the center back. So you did an awesome job. And come over here, sister. You did an awesome job getting yourself freed up, okay? But now, how can you place yourself in order to succeed before you even receive the ball? No, you're fine right here. But now, how can you find success before you even receive the ball? Open up, show me. Boom, that's good. Now you have the ability to play forward, and now what's your job? What foot do you want to play? Or front foot, or left one. So why? Now she can go forward. So all this matters in possession to penetrate. Put herself in a position that she can find success before she receives the ball, instead of being blocked to goal and cutting off all her options. Player of the ball, play, live. Here we go. If possible, can you get side on before you receive the ball? So we want to develop 360-degree players that can play backwards, sideways, and forwards. Too many times we only have players that can play backwards or sideways. Shape affects penetration. So now this player, come over here, Leo, was on the ball. And come back a little bit. And you were back a little bit. We're trying to get behind the back line, but our shape affects that. Okay, so what I would want you to do is, she has time and space. Do you need to come back and check for this ball if you're on her team? No. This is a good cue to get higher, and even if you went out wide, to get higher. Now we're in a better spot to get to the ball first and penetrate the back line. So our shape affects our ability to play in behind. Okay, so if you see the person on the ball and she has time and space, stay up there. If you see the person on the ball, turn your back to me, Leo, and she's here, how does that affect your support now? You might have to come back. So these are the decisions the people off the ball have to make. If she's under pressure, I'm going to have to come back and support that. If she can face up and go, that's where I need to run. And that's where I need her to be a little bit higher. Okay, play the ball back. Play. Turn. Sideways on if you can. Look to play forward first. You don't have to play it, but look to play forward first. Get side on. Look to play forward first, and if you can't, you can recycle it. Good. Out of pressure. Good run. Here we go. Keep it. Good. What do you want? Here we go. Awesome run. Keep it now. Recycle it if you can. If it's not on, recycle it. Go the other way. Keep it moving. Get in a position where you can make a run in behind. There you go. Good run. Now we hold. So what I liked about that movement is that she was high enough. She was high enough back here. What's her name? Nicole, to make a run. So the ball was wide. Go ahead and play that ball wide. And Nicole was high enough to make this run. Now the timing could be a little bit better, because by the time she was ready to play you the ball, you're already offside. So if I'm there early, if I'm here early and she's not going to play me the ball, what do I have to continue to do? Keep going. Along the line, along the line, along the line. Now you're ready to play me, and now I can time it, and then that's connection. That's that connection. So the run was good. The movement was good. The objective is to see how late you can make it and how hard you can make it. But if you arrive there early, just keep making it along the line. Keep it moving. Wait for the right moment. Keep it moving. Shape matters. See if you can stay as high as you can. Good ball. Okay, and we hold. What we're going to do now, if you do play it in behind, this would be another phase. As you can see, this is really, really tough to do. Getting that connection, getting in behind, maybe the second hardest thing to do in the game outside of scoring goals is that final ball, the timing of the run. So this is difficult. This is something that you have to spend a lot of time in, and we don't have a lot of time. But you can progress this exercise. Now, if you get in behind, a defender can come in there. A defender can come in there. If the ball enters through a wide area, so give me this ball. If a ball enters and we're going this way, so that's make a run out wide. Entry ball comes in. You can come in. She's not in a position to score. Another red can come in. not another defender. So now you can cross and finish. You can make it look like the game. If the entry ball is through a central area, only one person can go, and it's a 1v1. You with me? So that would be the progression of this exercise. If this is too difficult, then you can just play the end zones with no goalkeepers. That's another option for you so you can get more reps in there. All righty? Let's see through this phase, see how many times we can get in. Play for 2 minutes. Usually with us, we don't stop it this much. So what we let them do is we let them play them for about 3 games. Allow them to get some water, and while they're getting water, we might paint a couple of pictures, a couple of options for them. So we don't stop it all that much during these exercises, but these are some of the coaching points that we would give them for you guys to see, okay? So what I would want you guys to do is see if you can look for the P1 pass first. P1 pass first, which a P1 pass is a split pass. You're breaking more lines. And then you go through the continuum. If you can't play a P1 pass, you play a P2 pass. If you can't play a P2 pass, then a P3 pass. But they have to train themselves to look at it in that order. It's kind of a quarterback looking at the routes. What's the first thing I'm looking for? You don't have to play it, but you have to look for it. And the same thing with the supporting player. You must look to support a P1 pass first, and then you go through the continuum. So you're training them to start making decisions where they're looking at the field, higher up options. Okay? Here we go. 1 minute left. Side on. You can dribble. Good ball. Good run, I mean. Keep it moving. Recycle it out. Good. Yeah, just pick your moments. Good. Way to get open. P2 pass, penetrating. There's the run. And you're in. And that's a good picture. Give her.
So Ian, we've now seen a series of 3 presentations, each one developing on the previous session. One of the things that strikes me about all of them is and we're talking about national team coaches talking about technical work at the U15 level and then working with decision-making U16, U17. And as youth coaches, we often think that we need to get to tactical and decision-making components of our training really early on, but here we are with national team coaches working with some older groups, bringing in decision making later on in the process.
Yeah, I mean the very first coaching point he made, the very first coaching point when they were in activity was about just opening your body and hips to going forward. So he was clear to just address, at least for the sake of the audience, there are a couple of technical things before he started talking about the shapes of runs and the consequences of runs for sure.
So we now move into an activity that looks more like a game. We have 2 goals. We have half field, a 5 versus 5 plus 2 in the central zone, and then a goalkeeper defending both of the goals. And so with the activity, as we've seen it on the video, we have the middle zone, which is crucial for the activity because all of the action occurs here. They have to make 3 passes thereabouts. In the illustration, we've shown a slightly more straightforward 2 passes, but 3 passes was the condition Jaime put on the activity. And then we're working on the passing types. So we've illustrated here, the P1 pass, the pass that splits the defenders and penetrates a line. And then also the run, and this example here is a blindside run that provides movement into the final third, Ian.
Thank you. So definitely addressing decision-making of this player. That makes a ton of sense. So person on the ball, how are you looking to penetrate on the pass, shot, or dribble to hurt the opponent? And then, this is the player that's in motion that is making that. I mean, there's a couple of things going on here. She's driving infield to cut out. So you might address that. Or you could simply say that she's driving to the blind side of this defender, which, of course, as this player is looking at the ball, that becomes a particularly intelligent run. In the previous 2 give and goes where it was all pattern, now the challenge for all of us as coaches is, can you see these patterns emerging in real action when there's defenders and the players going? And then if you want to coach them, how do you reinforce them without stopping the action? So the players need to have practiced the patterns. They need to rehearse the patterns. And then when they get into this game situation, the coach has to be able to see them and bring them out for the team. The notion of function here relates to Jaime talking a little bit at the beginning about, are you dealing with midfield blocks or defending blocks or attacking blocks? So absolutely, how you arrange the players here will be critical. A couple of things to think about. I like these zone conditions because you allow some space behind the defense to attack. So the zone means that you've got a space behind to attack. You've also got the offside consideration. A couple of things I'm not completely sure about. I don't know if you say to them, get in I think you said a 3 and a 2, what do these two players do? The two extras, where do they go? So I might consider playing 7v5 and working with the 7, breaking down the 5, or work with the 5, breaking in the counterattack. I'm not sure about the use of neutral players here. The other thing to consider, and it's everybody's option, right, is if the best pass they can play, according to Jaime, as he was reviewing, is the P1, why make their 3 touches before you can go to goal? Because you're already 7v5. You should be able to get to goal quicker than having to play 3 touches, which would be their P3. So I'm not sure about those conditions. I think I'd probably play 6v6 or I'd play 7v5. I don't think I'd use the all-time. And then I think I'd start off by letting them play free and not insist on the 3 touches. But that would just be some preferences, horses for courses.
Ian, one of the things that strikes me about the use of the neutral players, if you wanted to create that imbalanced 7 versus 5 going in both directions, possibly you'd end up with 3 at the back, 2 up front, which are your permanent players, and maybe you'd include those 2 as central midfield players.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But if you watch the session, the two players, they ended up, so one ended up here early on. They ended up like in these positions, which are not really impacting. So I agree with you. If you're going to go, and you could see in the session, he kind of said it very late. But yeah, if you have your 3 starters here and your 2 other here, that's your 3-2. But then the 2 all-time are always in the middle of the park, because if you're going to use all-time players, they should be your number 10s anyway. So I would have formally put them into that position to create the overload in the midfield.
Okay. Now we go on to our second sequence, and as you can see on this sequence, we've now illustrated a slightly different scenario, still 5 versus 5 plus 2 in the middle, and in fact we have one of the all-time offensive players that has received the ball probably as a spare player on the right-hand side of the attack for yellows. The movement pattern of the player receiving and then eventually scoring is interesting. So that player has used the withdrawal run, which we saw in the last 2 give and goes, where the player's gone in and then moved backwards towards the line, keeping their body open to the field to receive the ball on the front foot to then penetrate into the end zone. Ian.
Yeah, so absolutely. So again, we're reviewing the content of the previous 2 give and goes, right? So this is the over the top pass, the split pass we had in the last exhibit, and now we're actually going with this round the outside pass. So you're playing out to a flank. But you're absolutely right, David. This is something that Jaime addressed, I thought, very well. Because what happens is, as the ball goes to this player, very often our players will make a movement way too early, and then they'll just stop and get stuck. And then it's not a very exciting pass, and they're in a bad position relative to receiving the ball, and they're marked up. And if as the ball's going, she does run and she keeps going, very often they just run into offside positions. So what Jaime was saying to the player was, continue your run, keep moving. And this would be a good example. So as the ball goes here, we drive in, we engage the defender, then we check out. Now the pass can come across the front of us and we can go to goal. So the shape of runs, the timing of runs, and then absolutely, if you're going to do this session and you want it to be meaningful, you want your defenders to really engage, you've got to make sure that the offside line is honored. So if you've got an injured player, a parent coach, but somebody, honor the offside condition, because it means the quality of this run will be legitimate. And it means these defenders can actually defend properly, because if they always get beat without consequences of offside, then the line is really unfair to them.
And our final sequence, we now see the restrictions lifted, so the players now can enter into the zone. Defenders can come in with attacking players, but the condition that the ball has to be played into the zone, or a player has to carry the ball into the zone before players enter. So that leaves the space in behind for this pass, the P0 pass, the ball that is played over the top, breaks one or two or more lines of the defense, is really important. And as we see here, the player receiving the ball takes on a little bit and then crosses in for the attacker, making another run through between two defenders. Ian.
Yeah, so this, I think, is an interesting part of the session. So now, instead of the girl going through, once we've broken the line, she just goes and finishes one-on-one, and they have to try to play at game speed. I think that's what Jaime said to them, make it game realistic. But you can appreciate sometimes the strikers just drag in there. Now you let the defenders recover. Now you're getting really game-like, because there's a consequence if you dilly on the ball in front of goal. But for those of you that are, ice hockey devotees, this is pretty much ice hockey, right? So you can't go into the zone until the ball or the puck penetrates the area. So now the P0 pass, which is not particularly favored by the US national group that's making these presentations, but is definitely viable. If everybody has to be up to the line, you create space in behind to attack. And so now the P0 ball does become an option, and that's what this player has chosen to play. So you've got a blindside run, which is completely legitimate, on the other side of this defender. So this defender is now turning and chasing. You've got a lofted ball. Could it have been what they call the P0, the P1? Perhaps, who knows? But she chose to loft it. And then you've got this splitting run here. So whether you call that an outside to inside run, or it's just a blindside run, but there's your striker getting into the box for the cross. If anything, I'd probably say you consider the movement away, right? So if she runs from here, we don't want her running straight to the near post, because she'll get there too early. So now we're running a little bit tangential to the goal, and now we arrive at the same time as the cross. But some really nice stuff there.
Well, before we leave, coaches, just a reminder that we publish a series of manuals that include coaching activities similar to the ones we've just been reviewing through Give and Go. And these are all themed. So we have activities that are based around curriculum from ages of 5 all the way up to 18. Then we have things that are more specific, manuals more specific, like coaching futsal, for example, or one that is really focused on technical training. So lots of different manuals that we offer, and we appreciate you joining us on this edition of Give and Go Live.